Hello, everyone. Oh dear, Layla! What a way to start strong. So, the tripod has its legs like all splayed out right now. Anyway, so, welcome everyone to the live stream. I am not wearing any makeup today because it's going to be very, very hot in the house. And I don't want to have a melting scene publicly. Anyway, welcome after all of those updates that I posted about the Tour de Fleece and my mom's visits and not being able to do live streams. So it's good to be able to do that again. And so, yeah, just there's a few people already here. There's Crystal and Sonia and Chris. And I'm pretty sure there are a few people around just watching at the moment. So what's got everyone in a stir at the moment is Crystal is crocheting a cauldron for holding yarn. And so we'll definitely have to see pictures of this. So if you can tag us in somewhere or post a link in the description, well, not in the description, but in the comments below, that'd be fantastic. So yeah, everything in July is now done. I'm glad for the experience doing updates with Tour de Fleece, but I'm gonna have to work a little bit harder on getting myself organized for that next time. And I doubt my mom is going to be visiting because I don't plan on doing another degree in the next year. So I'm pretty much done with this PhD. So Layla is in the room because I can't keep the door shut. It's too hot. So apologies if she's loud or wakes up any of your cats. But I also wanted to share these last couple of spins that I did. So this was the Cormo, and I have another video coming out early next week. That's sort of like a recap video for the Tour de Fleece. So I've got these two. This one was sort of more of the autumn light colors, and then this one had more of those pinky autumn colors. And it was Cormo. I think it turned out really, really nice. And for those of you who might have noticed, my film camera here is doing pretty well to pick up on all these details. And the reason is, when my mom was visiting, my old phone was having panic attacks and dying. So I got a new camera, a new phone, and so you'll actually be able to see better with these live streams. So I'm very excited about that because I was showing the person at Samsung what I do for live streams, and they kind of were like, okay. But I'm hoping that when we actually get to the spinning, I'm going to bring the camera a little bit closer, you'll actually be able to see the things that I'm talking about, because before I'd always have to say, well, you know, try to do photos or something like this later. So, yes. Uh, I'm looking forward to how this live stream is going to look when I review the VOD later. So, anything else? Oh, yes, Sonia has listed some really good uses for cauldrons, as you do. Let's see here. Oh, jungle juice. It's definitely another one of those things that can go into a cauldron. How do I get such a tight ply yet not over twisted yarn? So this was a question about the yarn I just showed. A couple things. Cormo is really good about sort of like filling in the gaps. So it looks really, really twisted, except that it isn't. So I'm pretty consistent when I put twist into singles and ply. So this was a chain ply. My screen is blinking. Oh, it is. Why? Because it's not showing up for me here that it's blinking. I might need to grab the charger. It may not like the live stream without it being charged. So hang on just a second. Did you think that the long range charger from upstairs? Sure. Okay. Yeah, so if this persists, I might have to see why that might be the case, because it's a brand new phone. It's a Galaxy S22. They were having like a really huge discount on them, so I've decided, instead of trading in for a used one that was like 4 years old, just went ahead and got this one. Yeah, I'm hoping that she'll be too hot to be a nuisance right now. So, yeah, if you are watching on the VOD after the live stream, I'm very sorry if it is blinking a lot. So I don't know if there's much I can do about that at the moment, but sorry, there's also someone knocking.
Oh, thank you.
What is that? Oh, Amazon delivery. Okay, getting reorganized here. Apologies for all of the noise. Oh my goodness. Okay.
Oh, it's the feel away.
Oh. Alright. So, try not to flash everybody. Gosh, you can see how sweaty I am already. I'm hoping this will work with the blinking, and if not, I'm very sorry. I'll have to.
Close it now.
Don't close it.
Oh.
It'll be like 1,000 degrees in here. Alright. So we can get Layla in there as well. Yeah, there have been some mornings, particularly during the winter when it's cold. Layla wants to jump up on my lap because she's cold and wants a warm lap to sit in, but I'm busy spinning and she can't tolerate my legs moving. And Vera, when she sits on my lap, our other cat, she wants to eat the yarn. So they don't like it when I have my wheel out. So please let me know if that has clarified the issue with the blinking. So this is the very first time I've done this, of course, so growing pains. Apologies for that. But I think I was saying something about the twist on this yarn, and I think that has to do with just Cormo. It fluffs up quite a lot whenever you spin and wash it. So it's still blinking. This is a little bit distressing because I was really hoping that this wasn't going to happen. But apologies for the blinking. I'll see if there's anything else I can do with this in the future, because my Galaxy S6 was totally fine with it. So anyway, I've got these two done, and that is coming out in a video early next week. And then in keeping with the yarn, I have here a first sneak peek view for you guys. So I've got two new hand-dyed yarns. This one's called Pumpkin. So obviously I was feeling quite excited about the weather changing coming up. And so I decided to preemptively get a couple of these more autumnal colorways out there. Yeah, that blinking is really, it's really annoying, and I'm not sure what could be causing it. Maybe if I'm holding things too close to the screen? I don't know. I'll have to look at it. I'll have to look at this. So this is some really lovely oranges, some yellows, some golden hues. A reboot? I don't know about rebooting the phone, because it shouldn't be on the, if anything, it's probably the internet connection. Yeah, it's almost like no matter what I'm doing, it's blinking. Yeah, I think it could be that because we've had such hot, dry weather in Britain, like we are suffering the worst drought we've had since 1935. And in Surrey, I saw a headline today that they just woke up to not having any water because there's so much air in the pipelines that they struggled to get water to homes in Surrey. So, yeah, it's kind of upsetting and distressing to hear, but I'm hoping that this blinking issue is related to the internet and not the phone. Yeah, because I don't know if I could do anything about that otherwise. And maybe once the VOD is available, the blinking will go away, but if not, I'll again look into this a bit more before we do the next live stream. Now this one is called Last Harvest, and this one is kind of more muted. It's got some purples and sort of russet reds. And again, this is one of the repeatable colorways I'm going to be putting out for autumn. So these aren't quite available yet. But with anything, like if you want it, I could obviously dye it and send it to you. Yes, exactly right. This reminded me of the changing leaves, which is part of the reason why I wanted to do it. So once I have this listed, it's going to be on Etsy and my website, and I have just recently figured out how to get the listings set up the way that I want them to. So apologies if it looks a little clunky, and if you can't see the exact colorway that you want on my website, but you'd rather buy through my website than Etsy, just, you know, buy it on my website and then tell me what color you want based on what I have on Etsy. That's also fine. I'll know what you're talking about. And I have, while my mom has been here, I've been systematically doing all of the swatches for the colors. So, for example, this one's dark crystal. Oh, sorry. And then here's the woven sample, and then the knitted sample. So I've been doing these for all of the repeatable colorways, and some of them I just absolutely love. They kind of form this natural plaid look. And if you've never worked with hand-dyed yarn, one of the things that is absolutely wonderful about it is there's no color pooling that should happen. So you kind of benefit from some of that hand-dyed effect where not every single skein is 100% the same as the one before, and the color repeats may not be exactly the same. But as you can see in these little samples, overall, that variation does kind of form a pattern, but oh, okay, it says to adjust your phone by shutter angle, then shutter speed. Let me see if I can, I don't know if I can do any of those setting updates while here, otherwise you'll just have a picture of my face going, huh? Yeah, I don't have any other options right now. Okay, so I will go back and look at that note that you've left. Who was that? That was Lori. Thank you for helping. I will look at this for the next live stream and get that setting figured out. I'm not sure why it didn't automatically, you know, do that, because I sort of take for granted that it should be intuitive and just do stuff like that in the background. This one is one of my favorites. This is Montezuma's Gold. So if you've never seen cocoa beans, this sort of reminds me of those colors. Also, having worked in a chocolate shop. And then I have a few others, and some of them I call like high contrast, and they look absolutely stunning woven. So if you are the kind of person you just want like the colors to do the work for you, and you just want a plain weave, then you know something like this would be perfect. It's definitely wild. So if you're the kind of person who doesn't like big bold colors as like sweaters or something, or if you're going to do some really intricate pattern, like stitch patterns, then something like that might not be as good. But this one, for example, it kind of gives you more of those subtle transitions in the color. But you still kind of get a little pop of something visually interesting. So yes, well, I had always intended to have these little swatches for all of my colorways. I've just, you know, I started this in early June, and then basically the entire month of July was me being distracted with my mom, essentially. And it took her 3 whole days to get back. And she has 3 little fur babies, one of which I adopted back in 2003 when I worked for an animal protective league. And he's still alive. He's over 19 years old, and he's a black and white tuxedo cat. Amazed that he's perfectly healthy despite how old he is. But yeah, it was kind of like a journey, her getting home finally. But she finally got home, and that was good. So the last thing I wanted to do is it was supposed to be a quick update. Sorry about that. I have some new spindles. So these are all beautifully decorated. So the lady who makes these for me is a she's local to me, so she's dropped these off just recently, and also some spinning bowls. So these are available currently only on Etsy because I haven't been able to get it also migrated over to my website. No, actually I think they are on my website. But this one is brand new. She just dropped this one by, so I have to test spin these, photograph them, and post them. But they are absolutely beautiful. Like, I'm so pleased. She knew absolutely nothing about spinning and making spindles. And then, yeah, this is sort of like the power. Oh, are we back? Are we back? Oh, I'm sorry. It's like, of course it's the first day back and there's going to be a host of problems. Okay. What I was going to say is she's got this one here. You can kind of see there's some like fire etching that she's done on it. And even the tip of this is kind of interesting too. But this one also spins beautifully. I can hold this. I can hold this bowl evenly. It's probably still the connection evening out after it had to reconnect. So it might be a little bit fuzzy there in the middle, but I will be doing videos for the listings for these. So if you were interested in the spindles, I will, at least for the ones that I can, get those uploaded so you can see how nice they are to spin. And we even have some of these slightly smaller ones, which I found works really, really well for spinning camel down, because that has a short staple, so you need something that's a really fast spinner. And I forget what this particular wood is, but it's kind of got this beautiful orangey look, and they just kind of spin for days. Awesome. Okay, so all of those updates aside, I will do my best to get them out in a timely fashion. So today I wanted to take this bat and turn it into something more beautiful. So I had this in the shop for a very long time and no one wanted to buy it. So sometimes it's just a matter of finding the bottom tracks really well when you wobble the baits. I'm not sure what you mean. um, so, yeah, like, it could be that sometimes things don't sell quickly because they just haven't found the right person. On the spindle, it's a weird thing, but it doesn't slow the spin at all. Did you mean on this one? Ah. No, and you would have thought, given how this one doesn't really come to such an extreme point as some of the others we've got. It doesn't slow down at all, even though there's a little bit more friction on the surface there. But yeah, these are really quite nice, and I like them a lot. And I'm trying really hard not to keep one for myself. Yeah, so this one just hasn't had much love. I've not been able to find its owner. So I'm thinking maybe its owner is a knitter or maybe a weaver. So today we are going to spin this so that it can hopefully find a new home. So if you want to let me know what you guys are spinning, so we know that Crystal is busy working on her cauldron, which sounds so cool. And yes, please share photos when you're finished so we can see. So yeah, I'm not sure. I think I might have made this particular bat when I was using our Gills drum carder because it's quite small. So those of you who have watched my live streams before, you know that the bats I work with are usually quite long in comparison. So this has probably been sitting in my inventory for a very long time. I don't know if the quality of the video has improved now, has it? I'm going to check over here on my end. Okay, so it's at 720 over here. Perfect, okay. So, if you've never spun a bat before, one of the things that I love about them is they don't compress in quite the same way as hand-dyed combed top. And that's because usually you've got a bunch of smaller fibers in there, kind of pushing the other fibers away. But despite this being like smushed for probably a couple of years in my, I keep 2 totes for all of my hand-carded bats so that this one stays out of it. So this should actually spin really quite nicely despite the fact that it's just been squashed for the last couple of years. But essentially I'm just going to pull off strips and probably do something probably do a single, or I might ply it with some soap. I do have a little bit left that would go well with these greens and purples. This is sort of one of those Halloween colors that I came up with, and then Halloween came and went. The whole purple and green combo. Alright, so we have, Chris is on the second sole of the second felted woolen clog, which actually sounds pretty good. I've been looking at making hemp sandals, but then lining them with wool so that I can use them in the house as slippers, because I don't like walking around on our kitchen floor, and especially in the winter, because I mean, it's technically heated in there, but it is really, really cold, and the stone tiles just absorb all of my body heat. So I don't like walking barefoot in there. And then Maureen has been cleaning. You know, sometimes I do like cleaning. It makes me feel better once it's all clean. Oh my gosh, the blinking. I may have to fix this right now. Why is it so bad? I'm really annoyed. Oh my goodness, now that I can see it more. Oh goodness. So my mom is retiring in September, and she's very excited about it. And I'm pretty sure everyone in Britain now knows she's retiring because she's told literally everybody. But one of the things that she's going to do, not the next day after, but probably that first week, is she's going to go through all the stuff that she's accumulated and just get rid of stuff or sort things. Because you know what it's like when you move house and you're also really busy with work and you don't have anyone else around to like help you go through this stuff. So she basically downsized from the house I lived in with her, but wasn't able to like really go through everything and then decide what to keep and what to toss. So it's just been sitting there in storage, and some things she couldn't get to, so she couldn't open up certain boxes to see if that was what she needed, so she just bought things again. And so I'm pretty sure she's going to have multiples of stuff. Oh, like I said at the start, I was deep cleaning our bathroom today because it kind of needed it. I like to do that every couple of months just because like the baseboards get really dirty, and I like wiping those, but not every single time, obviously. And when you have cats, and we don't have any air filtration system in the house we live in here in the UK, dust accumulates like no one's business. Yeah, so if you're interested in the hemp shoes, I'll have to post the link for those, because they're just, it's basically like a braided hemp rope that you kind of coil back and forth and then you stitch through it. They look pretty simple and customizable for your particular feet. And then as you wear it, they sort of conform to your feet. So kind of like the way that felted slippers do. So yeah, if you're interested, I will remember to put that link down below. We've got Cheryl, who's just showed up. Welcome. Cheryl posted a lot of her updates from Tour de Fleece on the Expertly Dyed page, which was fun to see. And you were pretty consistent too, because you spun every day, but you also spun like about an ounce each day with your spindle. So sometimes, you know, the slow, steady challenges are good too. Oh, and Anne, I don't know if I've seen you in a live stream before. I saw your name earlier. I think you were the one who mentioned how to help with my blinking problem. Oh my goodness. I'm really sorry for anyone who's wanting to watch this live stream and just can't right now. Because I'm pretty sure if I click away on the live stream, it might cancel the upload. Maybe if I turn it sideways. Yeah, it's not gonna let me do it. Oh goodness. Okay. So we might need to shorten today a little bit if it's... Oh, you've been working with the spindle. Which sort of spindle? Mine was a $5 toy wheel with a really cheap spindle shaft. And I used that for my entire MSc dissertation project. I really just wanted an excuse to learn how to make yarn. Yeah, so I can't fix the blinking or I'm going to have to cancel the stream. So we might have to compromise. And next time I will get the frame rate figured out. Oh, do you have sheep, Anne? Yeah, I was using my own homemade spindles for many years. I even still have one here. I have no idea what happened to the others. I might have actually sold them because I had a whole bunch there when I first moved to Korea. But one of the things that I learned from doing my spindle roll analysis for my chapter on spindle rolls is people in the past may have tolerated slightly wobbly spindles all the time. So there's this notion that we have to have everything be really, really perfect when we make yarn, but we can kind of finesse it to work. And so, yes, it's nice having beautiful spindles and ones that are really well balanced, but homemade ones work really well as well. Did I miss something, Maureen? Oh, I've only been able to use Polypay once, and I made a pair of mittens with it, and they, well, I probably could have done it better, but the Polypay was using was really, really short. It was like maybe 2 inches long, so it turned out it wasn't really great for mittens when you cycle a lot. But oh, you said you were cleaning out your parents' house. Oh, I thought you were cleaning out your house. I see. So the spindle that I carried during my graduation was the Smaug spindle that I bought in 2013. So that one came from Mirkwood Arts Spindles, I think it is, on Etsy. That was actually the very first supported spindle I ever bought, and of course I had to have that one, because I love dragons. And I thought it was just really poetic because the dress I wore was one that I graduated in when I was 17 from high school. And yeah, that was the one I showed you guys before. Not during this live stream, but it's one that I've used for the supported spindle tutorial that I have on my channel. So yeah, there was definitely a lot of layers going through there because I've been looking forward to graduating with those special hoods for a long time, and I was happy to finally get that done. If you're still here, even with all of the blinks, thank you. It means a lot to me. But yeah, my mom got to see my graduation. Finally got sort of that PhD chapter closed. And it was really hand spinning that got me interested enough to actually complete this degree. I don't know if anything else has held my interest in quite the same way. So it's probably good that I picked up my spindle for my Master's in Museum Studies back in 2007. Well, that's when I started it. Back in 2009. So I enjoyed being able to walk across the stage with that. And I'm also glad that I wasn't the only one who went up there with something to show. So there was a couple of people who went up with their home flag to display during their chance to walk across the stage. So that was also nice. Yeah, and yes, so the one is with the spindle tip, that's right. Hi, Pixie Pirate. Welcome to the stream. Apologies for the blinking. Unfortunately, I need to fix the setting on my phone, and I didn't do that before I started the live stream, so for the next one, it won't be like this. Oh, well, welcome back. I sort of felt like this when I first finished my master's degree because I was mainly using it for creating experimental samples for my dissertation. And I let it sit actually for a few months, but the itch to do it some more was too great, so of course I had to keep going. I tell people sometimes when they're a little bit like on the fence, kind of excited but still quite new to the whole spinning thing, I tell them, welcome to your new favorite thing. Is that Montana the state is awesome? I've actually never been to Montana. There's so much of the US I haven't been to. Sorry to hear about that, Maureen. It's always really hard. One thing that I will say is spinning has gotten me through some really difficult times in my life too, and it will be there when you need it to be there. When your kids get old enough, well, I'll just say that when I was little, my mom enjoyed how enthusiastic I was to learn how to sew. So my very first experience was sewing a bit of hessian or burlap fabric with those plastic tapestry needles and like wool yarn. And then from there, she got me this little toy sewing machine. So I used that until I was old enough to get a proper sewing machine, which I think she got me a secondhand one for like $10. So I used that for a long time. I have another sewing machine here in the UK. But yeah, once your kids are old enough, they'll watch what you're doing and want to do it with you. Yes, dragons are so cool. I wish I could actually draw them better, but they all kind of look weird. They're always super imbalanced one way or another. But I've got a really cool wyvern that I use for D&D. And I very much took pleasure in painting that one. My great-grandmother taught me how to crochet when I was little, and she never gave me a crochet hook. She just showed me how to do basically finger chains, and I would make endless chains and play with them kind of like weird rope, like, because it's really stretchy. But unfortunately, she passed away before she could teach me any of those other skills. She was really quite good at it. She had that really fine crochet thread for making doilies. So we've got a bunch of those around the house. Well, not my house, my mom's house. Yeah, I really like that I walked with my spindle too. I felt a little bit weird about doing it, especially since I had to sit there and hold the thing in my lap until I got to go up. And I was the third one called for the entire session. So everyone had to sit and wait until it was over. Yeah, so, you know, when you, I'm bold, but I'm also like conscious sometimes of my boldness. It's like, I want to be a little bit out there, but I don't want to be too out there. And I don't even know why I feel this way sometimes. It seems silly when I talk about it. But yeah, it was a nice experience, and I'm glad that I did it. I had a sewing kit when I was 4 too. I think before that, I definitely watched my mom do stuff. So she was part of Creative Circle. I don't know if anyone is going to remember that, but she used to sell these sewing kits to other people. So there was counted cross stitch and embroidery and some other kinds of crafts, like related needle crafts. Not knitting or crochet, but something like that. Wow. Yeah, your kids seem well supplied. Okay, thank you, Anne, for stopping by. Oh, yes. Felt. I actually did a lot with felt, probably around age 8, I want to say. I was really obsessed with making these ornaments for Christmas. I don't even remember where it came from, but then I picked up using felt again when I was in college. I was taking this Pirates and Piracy in the Greco-Roman World course. It was like a seminar course my senior year, and I loved it. So I got into using felt to make these little like pirate bags. So they had like the skull and crossbones on there. So you had like the felt background and the skull and crossbones, and you know. I was trying to be more sustainable back then, by using reusable totes for everything. I even graduated with it. So I went to a big university for my undergrad, and they had these departmental graduations. So I got to sit next to my best friend in college, and so I had my bag with me because I didn't realize that we couldn't leave anything in the room, that we weren't going to come back. So I was like, oh, I guess I'm wearing this to graduation. So I had it over my arm, and I had so many goodies in there that we kept ourselves entertained during all of the speeches, which it probably wasn't even that long, maybe like 2 hours. But we were having a good time sitting in the back, just seeing what I managed to pack in my little pirate bag. So I guess this was the first time I have taken something with me through my graduation. Yes, plastic canvas and a tapestry needle. So I think it was 1997. My grandma had this toy poodle named Trixie, and I grew up with her from infancy, and we were sort of like really, really tight. We were very connected, and I think I even went so far as to consider her my little sister. And when she passed away, I decided to make this little memory box. It was like that plastic canvas, and I just did a really simple like diagonal stitch for the whole thing. I made a little box with what I had hoped kind of looked like a poodle. I don't remember what I was going to put in there. But sometimes you just hold on to the weirdest things. Like the first cat we ever had, I kept his hair from the hairbrush in a little plastic bag, and we still have that at home in storage because I encountered it 2 years ago when I was there going through stuff in my mom's house. Little mementos, you know. Yes, I am also an only child, and one of the things about being an only child is you're really good about sharing, because if you don't share, it's a lot harder to have people your age to do fun things with. So I learned very early on that if I wanted to have friends and do fun things and be included, I needed to be friendly and share and willing to kind of do what other people like to do, just so that there was like some commonality. So when I was little, I think I probably exposed myself to a lot of different activities I wouldn't have otherwise had I had siblings. I'm gonna talk about this with my partner because he's got a brother. And when you have siblings, sometimes you kind of argue over things, and you're not necessarily always interested in sharing because your parents force you to share and you don't like it. Which is probably why I would do all of this stuff, even if there was just one person watching this with me. Oh. Yeah, I don't. Okay, I'll say this about my high school graduation dress that I wore in July this year. It was 20 years ago that I bought it and wore it. And fun fact, my 20-year high school reunion was the same night I graduated, which is very poetic as well. I I didn't look quite as nice in that dress as I remember me looking. So, you know, bits of me, age has been a little unkind. But overall, I was really excited to be able to wear that because that was really the first moment I got into higher education. So when I had my high school graduation, I already had one full semester of university under my belt. So I graduated from high school a semester early, so I did 3.5 years. And my final semester of what would have been high school, I was a full-time university student. And then I went back to my high school graduation. So again, it was part of that life story that I wanted to kind of round out by actually wearing what I wore in high school. But I also can still wear dresses that I wore to my freshman homecoming and junior and senior proms. But that was also the time when I gave up a lot of sugar in my diet. So I'm very sensitive to sugar now. But I had definitely an addiction to sugar, and I sort of chalk it up to wanting to have a healthier lifestyle when I was 15 years old. So I think that's probably the main reason why those still fit. Also, I'm really lazy. As much as I love producing new textiles, I hate buying new clothes. It's really expensive, and I'm always aware that clothing designers, especially for my budget, they design them to not last very long. So unless you can spend a lot of money for a designer label that has a long history of quality, then clothing is just not going to last that long. So now I go to charity shops because they're, you know, they cultivate good quality items. They don't just sell whatever comes in. And people here are in a huge habit of donating nice things. So I've gotten a lot of nice clothing from charity shops. The shirt that I'm wearing right now, this, I think I bought it in 2012. And whenever there's some stitching that comes undone, I just fix it before it gets worse. And for those of you who watched the trip that I took to Nottingham, I can't remember which day it was. It might have been like day 16, 15 or 16. We went to Nottingham and the lace market, but there was a little pamphlet that talked about World War II era ways of fixing or mending rather than always buying something new, and still maintaining your high fashion. So you can still look fashionable with recycling and mending. And there was a lot of information there on how to care for garments, which I just loved reading because I do spend a lot of time mending and caring for my clothes so that I don't have to constantly replace them. Oh. Your kid sounds like so much fun. Oh, you live in Nottingham. Well, I'm in Leicester. And we were there at Nottingham Castle, and one of the things I wanted to do was go back to Nottingham to visit the actual lace market, because I think there's a museum around there. Okay, yeah, so there's a lot of the UK I haven't seen, especially in my local area. So I did a little discussion about the Leicester textile stuff here. Another place that would actually be good to talk about is Yorkshire. So they have a lot of machinery up there, and that's where the West Yorkshire spinners are. And then, of course, in Edinburgh. So I went to a conference back in 2019 and stayed a couple of extra days. And we went to the mill that's up by the castle there. And I think this was also around the time where they had some flooding near the lines. And so all the trains got backed up and delayed and canceled. So there was just so many people on these trains. And here I am wearing an entirely wool outfit with my luggage and my laptop, which a gaming PC is not light and not really great for transport. Super heavy. And here I am holding a wool blanket that didn't fit into my luggage, so I'm just like overheating. Aww. Yeah, sometimes it is an easy choice to stay when you find someone you care about. Yeah, so I'm kind of lucky that my partner is half British, half American, so we have a lot of choices for living arrangements. But I really enjoy being here in the UK, so I'm not really interested in leaving anytime soon. Oh, what sort of gaming? Like D&D gaming? Ah, yeah, so cat whiskers. I'm not sure why we were talking about cat whiskers, but one of the things that I do is I'll hold it up to see if the if the cats will claim which one lost a whisker. I know I'm not the only one who does that. It is fun being able to learn from you guys, but I really would like some way of doing live streams where we can get a couple of guests to show up. So it's a much bigger conversation than just me with you guys. And I know it's possible. I've just not had the time since my mom was here, or even like the week or so after she's left, to even think about getting that organized. But for those of you who remember, I did a couple of sessions, Zoom sessions with Evie, and then spliced that together and posted. I think she has a video posted on her channel and a video I have posted on my channel. But I would love to do that again. She's been quite busy lately, but yeah, definitely worth looking at again, because you know how they say like-minded people kind of work together. She's often of a similar mind as me when it comes to supporting other fiber artists and people who are learning and just wanting to have a chat. And it's also a good way to stay grounded to everybody. Saturdays have been sort of consumed working at the chocolate factory, so I've not been able to go to our guild meetings, so I started doing these live streams in order to have some semblance of going to a guild again. So it's also been fun just to be able to see what other people are doing and the experiences they have and sort of the background you guys have coming into fiber arts. Also that you're never too old to learn, which is another thing that I love about this. Okay. I love Minecraft. Um, I kind of go back and forth into the game. I love the creative mode, and one of the things that I've done in the past, because when you live abroad, sometimes you gotta connect back with friends back home. We did it was kind of like a theme park that we built, and we would do competitions. But sometimes the ping was really, really horrible, and the games weren't great for precision hitting things, but it was so much fun. It's literally like a playground, digital world playground. I would love to have dual monitors set up. So the one that we have in our main room is my partner's gaming PC, and he has his super special curve monitor for gaming. And I'm really excited about Baldur's Gate 3 because they're getting really, really close to finishing this game, and I love it because you have that combination of it being a video game, but also very much like D&D, which we play on Sundays. And in fact, today is Sunday, and so we're going to be playing tonight, but not my campaign. We are going to be playing, one of my players wanted to do a one-shot and sort of test out his DMing skills. So we are probably going to be concluding this session tonight. And what was so adorable is my mom. So for those of you who don't know about Dungeons and Dragons, you've got these little figures that you can have on like a playmat with little squares that indicate spaces. And she's never really watched me play D&D. But we wanted to do this while they were here, and obviously didn't want to shoo them out of the house or anything, or just leave them in the house while we went out to do this. So here she is sitting on the couch, moving all of our minis around and like knocking them over when they get downed. It was in that moment when I realized where I get my quirks from. Oh dear. Okay, it was you, Maureen, bringing up the cow whiskers. Oh my goodness. Yeah, some clothing just doesn't go out of style. Particularly if they are classic shapes from the 40s and 50s. They just keep coming back around. I have a pair of, well, they're not actually mom jeans, but they're kind of like mom shorts that are coming back around. I'm a little bit dismayed to know that they are considered vintage. I've definitely gotten to that stage in my life where I'm in denial that stuff that I grew up with could be considered vintage already. Yeah, a once a month Zoom gathering might be an idea. I'd have to think about a good time to do it because I'm also aware that later in the day is good for people in the US because it's morning for you, but obviously you're not going to want to do that in the middle of your work week. But not everybody works Monday through Friday. So it might be something where we change it regularly or semi-regularly just to accommodate more schedules so that people get the opportunity to watch live. Or maybe it would be better to have a consistent schedule. I don't know. I might have to put out a poll to see what people are interested in. Also, if you have just joined the stream, I apologize about the blinking. It's something that I'm going to have to fix in the next live stream. So there's a setting that I need to get to, but I can't right now while the live stream is on. So apologies for that. Shouldn't happen again. I will have to test this next time before I do a live stream so that this doesn't happen. So apologies if that bothers you, but hopefully you want to stay for just the random discussion about stuff. Yeah, so this Batt, even though it's been compressed and sitting in storage, waiting for someone to buy it for the last few years, it still spins really, really nicely. Let's see if we can get a little bit closer here on the yarn. Yeah, so that's how it's looking so far. Sorry about the blinking. It got a little bit worse there, but hopefully you can see it now. Oh, I love playing Catan. It was actually one of the first board games that I really enjoyed playing. I think we used to, well, when I first got the game, I would play it all the time, sort of like on a weekly basis. But the only games that I have here are Splendor, Munchkin, and Love Letter. Oh, and I've got Tokaido, which is another good game. If you've never played Splendor, it is one of the most brilliant games ever. So if you're kind of like me, I'm not someone who I just love to win and I'm very cutthroat about it. I'm happy to be playing something where it feels like by the time we get to the very end, it could have gone either way, right? So you know, it's like you can form a strategy to a certain extent, but also the board changes every single time you play, so it has a lot of replay value. And you can kind of see what the other person is doing, so in that way it's a little bit like chess, but you have this randomness of the board that you generate when you play Splendor. So yeah, I really like that game. And Love Letter's fun too. It's kind of similar. You can usually play a full game of Love Letter in about a half hour or so. And then Munchkin is basically like the card game version of Dungeons and Dragons. And we played that on Friday with a friend of ours. It was his birthday and I won the game. Which I know you're not supposed to do, right? Because it's not your birthday. Yeah, we could maybe do like 1 month on like a week night, and then on another month we do it on a weekend night. That way, for people who just typically work weekends all the time, might help. Because I don't want people to miss out. And if it's consistently on one day and you just consistently work that one day, you pretty much miss out every single time. So this is sort of how I felt about the guild. I mean, can't really change anything about that, but having to work literally every Saturday. I've worked every single Saturday since Christmas. And before Christmas, because we just happened to be closed for that week, even before Christmas, I worked every single Saturday. So, you know, I don't, fear of missing out is very real. And so I don't want people to get too confused if the schedule's constantly changing, but I also don't want to alienate people who really want to join, but they just happen to work weekends. I'm thinking about people who are sort of working in those frontline positions, like nurses and first responders and things like that, because they may just end up be working frequently at all hours of the week. And yeah. Also, my mom being in corrections for the last 30-something years, she's often had to work days that she doesn't want to work. This actually happened during my high school graduation. They scheduled her to work despite the fact that she asked for it off as holiday. And they pretty much denied her seeing me graduate from high school. I think she ended up being sick that day. Okay. So there was something that I missed. I'm going to go through here to see what it was. Yes, I love splitter. Oh, you know what I'm talking about, Chris. Great. Oh no, all of your roving got felted? Oh no. I'm not sure what I would suggest depending on how felted it is, but if it's really, really felted, one of the things that you can do is chop it up into smaller bits and then use it for other types of felted projects. You could use it to make pre-felt, and especially with kids, that's sort of like, you know, the best sort of medium to work with. Yeah, because you don't have any frayed edges. You can glue it together, you can sew it together, you can put glitter on it. You can't hurt it. It's structurally sound if you want to use it for things like that. So if it's just not spinnable, that might be another option. If it is spinnable, it might just be a matter of going through and finding the bits that are still workable, because I'll tell you a little story about my very first adventure dying in the microwave. So I remember the day. It was mid-2010, and I had finished my master's degree, and I was really excited about the natural dyeing that I got to do and the spinning and weaving. And I thought, I need something else to do with my life. Like, I want to keep pursuing education, but I don't want to just jump into anything right now, because I just finished school. And then I suddenly had all this extra time, because I was working full-time when I finished that degree, and I was also teaching martial arts 4 days a week. So it was sort of like this lull in between finishing my master's and before launching, or getting everything ready to launch Expertly Dyed. And I bought some really inexpensive combed top. I think it was 56s, so it's like stuff that's really good for felting. And I had some leftover food dyes, and I read online, as you do, just put it in your little baking dish with the vinegar and put in your dyes and do like short blasts. But the person I followed either didn't anticipate that I would just leave it in there for too long, or maybe their machine was slightly different than my microwave, but I felted the heck out of it. I was really upset. So I got some dog brushes, and I picked through the colors and separated them into piles, and then I basically did a gradient colorway from yellow to purple, and it was beautiful. The wool was kind of felted in some places, so it wasn't easy to draft, but I basically made these tiny little Rolex. They were about like that long. Maybe a gram each, but that's sort of when I realized that I really love doing this and I want to keep doing it. Oh, thank you. So what did I put in here? So there's Merino, it's a blue face Leicester cross, Angelina Firestar, pearl fiber, tussa silk, silk thrums, nylon, sorry silk, and mulberry silk. So there's a lot of interesting fun things in there. So that's Sasari silk in there. And so yeah, like I said, I might do an art yarn with this. I might ply it with some silk, to kind of give it kind of like that textured look. Yeah. It is kind of weird. The place where I work is right next to a vintage shop, and every time I walk by there, there's some nostalgia from my life growing up in the mid-late 90s. So those flower power, like stuff that was referencing the 70s, bell bottoms, or like the 90s version of bell bottoms, low ride jeans. I think there was sort of leather fringe as one of those elements of the 70s that came back during that period of the 90s. Furbies. They sell everything from the mid-late 90s. Oh, it's so weird to see. Ooh, a wool advent calendar. I just saw that Evie is going to be doing her advent calendar. So that is so much more prep than I have managed to do. So I have given something like this thought, and actually in a specific reference to yarns. So I know that those shawls where you get the different gradient colors, I had a thought of doing sort of a mini advent calendar where you get a yarn dyed for that particular, maybe like a week's worth of yarn. So like that would be 7 mini skeins. So that seems like something I could do. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that because I sort of finished my thesis corrections earlier this year, and I had all that graduation and just struggling to find work. I've just not been able to do enough planning during the summer to get it all ready so I can launch it now, because people are going to be wanting to pre-order it really by September. So it is definitely something I would like to do. I've just, with everything else, my life has been sort of up and down crazy. But I am really pleased with how well my schedule this week has gone. I have been in a really bad way of working to a deadline, sort of right up to it, rather than being able to give myself time to plan and actually execute things on days that make sense for me, so that I'm not constantly feeling rushed and exhausted. So this was the first week that I did that. I had a little bit of a shaky start on Monday this week, so that kind of delayed what I was going to do. But I'm on track to actually get things put into a schedule that means I'm taking care of myself mentally, but you're getting regular content to consume as well. Actually, I looked back at some of the content that I've put out lately, and honestly, if it weren't for the live streams, this would have been a dead zone for a long time. So, yeah. I'm hoping it's going to work out just fine moving forward. First week seems to be going pretty well. But some kind of like advent calendar might be fun, or also with wool. Could do like a yarn version and a wool version. Yeah, so if it's just the outside of your wool that's felted, you could just save the inside part. I mean, it's better than nothing. And you can still use that cast off bit. If you use soap, just make like little felted soap bars. Since it's already pre-started for you, just add in, you know, anything to give it sort of a fun, funky look, and especially with kids, that's like a fun thing to do with kids. Technically, it's a clean activity. Oh, I've never thought about making a 3D printed wool combs before. So we have a 3D printer, and I haven't actually used it to make any textile tools, but I have a whole folder saved on Thingiverse of just stuff to print out. We've needed other things like coasters. Oh wow, you still have your Furby? I was never one of those who liked them. I think partially because I worked in a toy department where we had them, and they just annoyed me to no end. So I kind of avoided them. Okay, yeah, I'll have to look it up. Because I've also seen that you can do a 3D printed loom, and Turkish spindles, and a sock machine. So the sock machine, I think, required some metal hooks, because I have a thought about having these turned into socks and hats and other stuff too, but really socks, because I want socks. But yeah, you still need those little metal hooks for doing the sock knitting machine. So yeah, good and plenty, or good and plenty as a person. Okay, I'll take a look and see if my machine is good enough, because I do PLA prints, and we've had some issues with certain filament in the past. Oh, you know what I should do? I should 3D see if they have any 3D printed Kromsky bobbins, because I'm constantly like forgetting I only have 5, and it stops me from doing multiple projects at the same time, even though you probably shouldn't do that. Just in case your gauge wanders in between. But then, ooh, I could also wet spin flax, because that was actually one of the reasons why I didn't do that before, because I worried about ruining the finish on my wheel. A veggie holder that you use for combs? Wow. So fiber artists are quite creative people. Interesting. There's also a researcher who did 3D files for spindles from Hallstatt. So that would have been Bronze and early Iron Age spindle rolls from Austria. Well, cool. I'll have to take a look and see if there's anything that piques my interest, because it would be fun to actually use them and review them. And also give feedback, because usually the people who are creators are more than willing to continue developing something just so that it's good for more people to use, or more variety depending on feedback. So yeah, that would be another thing worth exploring, either during a live stream or also during some videos. So I'll take a look and see what's available. If you've just joined us, sorry about the blinking on the screen. It's out of my hands at the moment. There's a setting I need to change on my phone, and it will kill the stream if I fix it. So apologies for that. Yeah, so I met a lady at one of the conferences I went to. It was called Fiber, and it was up in Glasgow. It was Glasgow, 2019, I think. And I think she was from California. And she just 3D printed a whole bunch of them, and then she put them in her luggage and flew to the UK. And then she just gave me one while I was, just talking about my interest in my research and stuff. And I thought that was like the most amazing gift ever. Hi, Mindy. So, wait. You decided to skip Evie's advent calendar and buy one instead. Oh, an Eve spinner. Oh, okay, I gotcha. So there was a ply issue of e-spinners, and I was reading through it because I've never really been in a position to need one. So when I first started spinning, I had a rather large place, and when I moved to Korea, I had a very tiny apartment. It was only 16 meters squared. I got this particular wheel because it was the very first time in my life that I could actually afford something beautiful and also expensive. So it wasn't my cheapest investment, but I absolutely love it, and it's gone all over the world with me, from Korea to the US to the UK. But apparently e-spinners have really developed on since they initially came out. I want to say it was in the 70s. And the price tag for me was just a little bit too high, and given the way that my house has always been set up, I've never really had a kitchen table. At least not like what you would normally have. So when I was living in America still, and I was doing expert diet at the start of 2000, end of 2010, I had a kitchen table, but since 2012, I've always had those kneeling tables. So in Korea, I had a kneeling table, and then when I came to the UK, I've either not had a coffee table or anything like that, or I've had a coffee table, and that has sufficed as the place where I sit to eat dinner. It's not the most ideal, I get it, but I've never had normal table heights, and I probably could have gotten like dinner tray tables, like they have, like the ones that fold up. You probably know what I'm talking about. But it's never really made sense for me to get an e-spinner. But I really would like to try one at one point. Although I might have to change the way that I spin, because as you can see, I'm doing well, I guess you call it a slightly supported backwards draw. And the reason why I like doing it is because it's kind of like doing a long draw. I'm just lightly smoothing it down as I go. But I found this works really, really well for trying to not mush the yarn too much when you want to get a little bit of texture in there. So you can kind of see here, there's a little bit of texture. Yeah. So I just prefer this way of spinning if I want to have a little bit of that texture without mushing away all of those interesting spots. So yeah, I don't know if you could really do that with an e-spinner. I'd have to find out. Okay. The EEL6. Okay. Yes, this is not the easiest wheel to transport. For sure. I think actually we might be able to get this whole bat spun during today's session. So thankfully it got a little cooler in this room, because if it hadn't, I probably would have had to leave. When I left the States to go to Korea initially, I had to pack all of my knives. So for those of you who don't know about my origin story, and I honestly haven't really put out a full video about this, I didn't have any startup money before X really died. So I worked selling knives for Cutco, and that's what gave me the capital in order to begin buying what I needed for dyes and yarn and wool, so that I could launch X Really Died. And I actually really love the knives. I sent them, well, I bought an extra set and sent them from the US to me here in the UK because I absolutely love using them. They hold their edge for a very, very long time, and one of them, I think now is 8 years old, and it's never ever needed to be sharpened, and it's still really, really sharp. And it's really important to have sharp knives, especially if you enjoy cooking at home. Oh no. Do they have a UK supplier, I wonder? Or like a UK shop for the electric spinners? I mean, I'm asking as if I'll be able to buy one right away, but I won't. October 22nd? Oh my gosh. Is there just like a delay, or is the demand just so high? That's crazy. Sorry for those of you just joining us about the blinking. It's an issue I know about. I'll try to get it fixed before the next live stream, but there's some kind of error with the refresh rate, and it's causing issues during the live stream. Yeah. So what you're saying is the EEL2 is the older model, or is the EEL6 the older model? I'm not sure how this goes. When I've had to get my wheel in other people's cars, it's always really awkward because I take it to the guild meetings. Oh, okay, so it's in terms of size. Okay. One day I'll have all the tools. I tell you what, one thing I need to really get something figured out. I have a hackle for making hand-pulled rovings, but I think I must have left something in the States, because the hook, like the little bit that latches onto the table, the way I had it set up in the States, I think was a little bit different than how I have it set up here. So I can't actually make hand-pulled rovings, but that's actually something that I would love to do during a live stream, is just make hand-pulled rovings with you guys. It's really easy and it's less noisy than my drum carter. So I know we talked about this during a previous live stream. Last piece. but the drum carder is just so loud, and it's in this cramped little corner, which is, it's good for me to work from, but it's not very good for showing. So I would have to, I have to look at other ways of clamping it to my table so it doesn't move around. Chris, you wrote boobins instead of bobbins, and it asked me to hold it for review. Oh my gosh, that's too funny. Okay, so the nano was first with a small bobbin. And the 2 is more powerful. Cool. Cool. Yeah, a lot of my specific tool knowledge has kind of fallen to the wayside during the course of all of my degrees. Yeah, I'm sorry. I also grew up in those days before spell check, and the computer that we had when I was in high school and early college, it wasn't, I didn't really do much word processing on there, and going back home to dial-up, especially away from university, was like, why even bother? So I just became a really good speller when I was growing up, and I can't unsee. It is good to know that the EEL 6 has big bobbins. Oh my goodness. Yeah, my mom used a typewriter. I actually don't even remember what it was for. I think it was when she used to work for an insurance company. So I didn't actually learn how to type on a typewriter. In fact, I actually didn't learn how to type properly until I think it was 2006 is when I actually learned how to type properly. It took me 2 weeks, and it was like a typing tutor thing that I could do when I was at work, but I was running experiments. So I had some downtime, and I would use sort of those 20 minutes of downtime to teach myself to actually write properly, or type properly. But we had all of the accoutrements that went with a typewriter that, of course, I played with and my mom yelled at me for. Ooh, and making printed copies with that special paper. It's like the 2 pieces were put together, so you can make a carbon copy of whatever you typed up. I had a lot of fun, like, dismantling those papers when I was a kid. Yeah. I actually also have an Ashford, and as much as I appreciated using it when I couldn't get access to my Chromsky, yeah, it was the carbon paper. I think it needs a new home, and I don't know how to sell it to somebody. I actually tried to sell it a couple of times on like Facebook Marketplace, and couldn't. And it's got the large, bulky flyer attachment. But the reason why I want to do that is because I want to get the the bulky flyer conversion for my Chromsky, because I really like making art yarns, but it's really complicated to do with a smaller orifice, and also that these don't really hold a lot of yarn, so you end up making these teeny tiny little skeins. So I have had a bulky flyer attachment for all of the wheels I've ever owned, and I've never had one for this wheel, so I need to downsize the number of wheels that I have and just get this one kitted out. Yes, a hackle. I've got a hackle that I got at the same time as I got my blending board, and I would like to do more with the blending board. And probably once I get these camera issues sorted out for the next live stream, I might consider doing some stuff with that. Just to kind of shake things up a little bit so you have interesting things to look at while you're busy crafting at home. Yeah, so we've had a fun Saturday. We've had a fun Saturday today, right? A fun Sunday spin. Does anyone have any ideas about what we should do for next week? Anything that I haven't done in a while that you might want to see again, or what else? Hopefully there will be fewer updates in next week's live stream. It's been a while. It's been, I think, about a month since I last did a live stream. Oh yes, my cat Layla, for Mindy's sake, because I don't know if you've heard the story, my cat Layla ate my drive band for my Ashford, so I had to store it in my one of my closets. So I totally understand that. Ashford Kiwi 3 and you love it. I know there is a Kromsky dealer in the UK. Or maybe not. Because I was talking with somebody who was a rep for the company, because there was a point when I was going to hopefully do review videos for them and like add to their repertoire, but nothing ever really came of that. So I'm pretty sure there's one in the UK, but there's definitely got to be one in Europe, because they're, I think, a Polish brand. What do I know about indigo dyeing? This is actually a really interesting question. I've never actually done indigo dyeing myself, but I have been around when it's happening. I do have Jenny Dean's Wild Color, where she does indigo dyeing, and a member of our guild did indigo dyeing for the Tour de Fleece. So she's got some questions about it. So maybe I can ask her about her process and then see about doing that. Could be fun. But not more. I don't know more about indigo dyeing than what you would find on the internet. Oh yeah, sweater update. So I have my V-neck sweater. I just need to finish doing the collar, and then I need to wash that. So then I can get that little recipe pattern sort of typed up with my additional notes, and then out to people for use. It's really, really simple. It's going to go out for free, so, you know, don't worry about it costing anything. But hopefully there's like some customization that you might want to do for it. I love Kromsky. Like, I have a Kromsky heart loom as well. I've had two actually. The other one is in the States in storage. I don't know why I never brought that with me, but I've got a 32-inch one here that I used it for one of the project updates from the Tour de Fleece. So once that project is off, I'm going to be doing another blanket project, hopefully. But yeah, it's been a genuine love. So it's not me sort of, you know, with paid promotions or anything like that. I've had a lot of experience using other wheels and other types of tools, but I always come back to this wheel, and I just love using it. So yeah, I probably would be a good rep. Yes, and then other sweater updates. So I've got my hand spun for my merino sweater that I'm going to be doing this year. And yes, I'm realizing that it's already August and I haven't dyed it yet, but I will be doing a video on me dyeing that. And I'll probably pick one of these colors, just to sort of see how it compares, because these are superwash, and if you've ever used superwash versus non-superwash, the colors can vary a little bit, so we'll see how that goes, but I will film it. I'm a little bit nervous about it, but I think once I actually do it, I'm going to treat it just like it's any other yarn. Plying tips. Ooh. Yeah, I can talk about some plying tips, especially when things go wrong. I was plying one of these skeins, this pinky Cormo. It broke in the middle of plying because I wasn't really paying attention to this. I think I was just tired and wanted to get it done. You know what that's like. So I can talk about plying and also when things go wrong. So if you want, I can actually leave this on here, spin another bobbin of some silk or something, and then I'll show you how I like to do a really, really simple textured yarn that doesn't really require you to do anything different. Once I discovered that this was possible, I did so many yarns like this. I also learned what not to use for the ply. So if you buy through a rep, the product is drop shipped directly from Kromsky, US. Oh yeah, doesn't need to stock anything. That's actually a really good point, because that was the other thing that I was thinking of, that I would have to have things. But if I'm not, yeah, I'll have to look into that, because that actually might not be a bad idea. I've used this wheel for over 10 years now, or just about 10 years now. Hi, Helen. That's actually my mom's name, Helen. She was my favorite grandma. You're not supposed to have favorites, but she definitely was. Cool. I'm glad there's more people on the sweater train. So sweaters, jumpers, pretty much the same thing. Just depends on which side of the ocean you're on. Yeah. So I think one of the things I could do for next week is work on getting this set up for plying, so we can talk about that, and then I'll go through the hand-dyed yarn that I've got in my Etsy shop to see which color I want to dye my hand spun, so I can get cracking on with that sweater project. Finish the collar of the other, like the pre-sweater that I knitted in advance of knitting my first sweater. And then see about getting some photos of that, so I can get kind of like a free recipe knit pattern available on my website. Yeah, and if there's anything else that you want me to show you during these live streams, because we can have more of a discussion, dialogue back and forth. And maybe the video isn't great, but at least it gives you a sense of what it is, if that's all you need, or if there needs to be an actual well-polished video on this topic, I can do that as well. But I'm gonna have to close the stream today because I have to eat dinner and get the house prepared for guests to arrive. But I wanted to extend an extra special thank you to everyone welcoming back to live streams, given that it's been a whole month. I'm glad that so many of you joined in. So you're in the UK between Oxford and Cambridge. Okay, so you're probably, well, hopefully you're familiar with the Must Farm finds, because it's right over in your neck of the woods. And I've talked about that a few times. But I will see you next Sunday. Please look on my social media where you can see updates for the next video that's going to be coming out. So once this video is done, I'm going to put some stuff into the description. If there's anything that I mentioned and you want to post some links or to like projects you're working on or Instagram or whatever, feel free to put that in the comment section below as well. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your Sunday, and I will see you next week, okay? Bye!